The processor socket (CPU socket) is the place on the motherboard where the CPU is placed. The socket is a square plastic or metal holder with multiple holes to accommodate the pins on the bottom of the processor. As these holes and pins make contact, they provides physical and electrical contact between the motherboards and CPU. Modern CPU socket is called ZIF, zero insertion force, which basically means that the CPU is installed in the with no force. It is drops in the socket easily. There are different types of CPU designs are called packages. One of the most common types of these packages is the PGA, pin grid array. The pin grid array is a typical square ZIF socket design with holes and a lockdown lever as stated previously. There are several different sockets that use the PGA package. Example 1 Socket 1, which came out in 1989. This socket had a 169 pins and used Intel 486 processor. Example 2 Socket 370, which had 370 pins and it used Intel Pentium 3 processor. Example 3 Socket A. Example 4 Socket 754. Example 5 Socket 939. Just to name a few. In fact, there are 25 different sockets that utilize the PGA pin grid array package. The other type of socket design is the slot package. Now this package design is very different from the PGA. In a slot package, the CPU utilized a type of expansion slot interface called SECC, single edge contact cartridge. The CPU is housed inside a plastic cartridge and then inserted into the motherboard in a slot very similar to inserting an expansion card. This slot design is an older design that made its debut with the Intel Pentium 2 processor, which came out in 1997. This particular design was called Slot I. The latest socket design packages is called LGA, land grid array. The LGA socket is a metal casing with a door that closes over the CPU and locks down with a lever. Unlike previous socket versions which have holes, the LGA has pins that make contact with the bottom of the processor. LGA processor don't have pins, instead they have pads that rest on the LGA socket pins. Some versions of LGA socket are LGA 775, which has 775 pins. This socket was designed for processors like the Intel Pentium 4 and Pentium dual cores. Other LGA sockets include the LGA 1156 has 1156 pins. LGA 1366 has 1366 pins, respectively. And these were designed for the high-end processor such as the Intel Pentium Core i7. Comment below if you have any doubts. Subscribe to Smart Cherry for more knowledge.